Hello everyone and welcome to next lecture. Today we are going to discuss a fresh topic and our topic of discussion in today's lecture will be law of demand. These are the objectives of today's lecture. The first one is to develop the conceptual understanding of law of demand, then to familiarize students with demand schedule and demand curves, and then to apply the acquired knowledge in real life situation. And I hope that by end of this lecture we will be able to cover these objectives. Let's discuss law of demand in more detail so that more clarity can be gained about the topic. Law of demand states that all other things being equal, all other things means taste, preference, income are being constant, then the demand for a good extend with a fall in prices and contracts with a rise in prices. It means if price for a particular product will increase, then demand for that particular product will decrease, and if price is going to decrease, then demand for that particular product will be increased. So there is an inverse relationship between price of the commodity and its quantity demanded. It means there is a negative relationship between price and demand, because when price increase, demand decrease, and when price decrease, then demand increase. So demand here is a function of price. All other functions such as Y means income of the consumer and PR means price of related goods, T means taste, and O means other things. So all these functions will be constant. Only price is affected by demand and demand is affected by price. Mainly we say that demand is affected by price because if price increase, then demand decrease, and if price decrease, then quantity demanded increase for a particular product. So this is what is all about law of demand. Various authors have given definitions of law of demand. Here I have given three definitions. The first one is given by Marshall. According to Marshall, the law of demand states that the amount demanded increases with a fall in price. It means if price for a particular good or product is decreased in the market, then quantity demanded by the consumer will increase for that particular product, and diminishes when price increase. It means if prices are going to increase, then quantity demanded by the consumer will decrease. Other things being equal, it means all other things such as income of the consumer, taste and preference, and price of related good, all these things will be constant. The second definition is given by Bilas. According to him, the law of demand states that other things being equal, the quantity demanded per unit of time will be greater the lower the price and smaller the higher the price. It basically means if prices are going to increase, then for that particular product demand is going to decrease, and if prices are going to decrease, then demand will be definitely increase. Then the third definition is given by Samuelson. According to him, law of demand states that the people will buy more at lower prices. Samuelson says that people generally buy product whose prices are lower in the market, and they generally buy less for those products who have high prices in the market. Ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus is a Latin word. It means all other things being equal. It means income of the consumer, price of related good, and all other things being equal. So all these three definitions of law of demand basically states that if price for a particular product in the market are going to increase, then demand for that particular going to be decrease, and vice versa. On the basis of concept and definitions of law of demand, these following characteristics of law of demand are determined. The first one is inverse relationship. The relationship between price and quantity demanded is negative. Here means if prices are going to increase, then quantity demanded will be decreasing, and if prices are going to decrease, then quantity demanded will be increased. So price and quantity demanded are sharing a negative or inverse relationship. And the second characteristics of law of demand is price is independent variable and demand as dependent variable. It means price is independent and demand is dependent on price itself. Price will affect demand, not demand will affect price. It means if prices are going to increase, then demand will decrease. So demand is always dependent on the prices. And prices here are independent variable. That is why we say that in law of demand, price is independent variable and demand is dependent variable. Then third characteristics of law of demand is other things remaining the same. So there would be no change in other factor influencing demand except price. All other remaining factors are such as income of the consumer, price of related goods, taste preference, and all other things will be same or constant. Only price will change and only price is going to affect the demand. The fourth characteristics of law of demand is direction of change. Law of demand is a qualitative statement because it is not going to tell us the degree of change. So it tells direction of change in demand consequent upon changes in price. It means it only tells us direction of change in demand due to change in price. It does not tell or state degree of that change. So basically it is a qualitative statement because it only tells us direction of change, not the degree of change. The last characteristic of law of demand is related with time. The law of demand is related with a point of time, say a day or a week or a month or a year, or for the matter a decade. It means the law of demand is basically related with time because we always say that consumer is going to buy a particular product or is going to demand a particular product within a specified time period. So these were the characteristics of law of demand. Now let's discuss about various assumptions which are taken under law of demand. Law of demand holds good when other things remain the same. It means all other factors such as income of the consumer, price of a related good, taste and preference of the consumer, expectation of the consumer, and all other factors will be constant. It means factor influencing demand other than price are presumed to be constant. Basically means price affect demand or demand is affected by price only, other things will be remaining same. These can be explained with the help of following demand function. So here demand function is dx is equal to f here means the functions or the factor of the demand. Then px, pr bar, y bar, t bar and e bar. Bar refers to constant. It means all these factors are constant upon which bar is stated here. So dx is equal to demand for commodity x, px is equal to price of commodity x. Then pr bar is price of other or related goods. Then y bar refers to income of the consumer, T bar refers to taste and E bar refers to expectation of the consumer. So bar is not shown here on PX. It means price is the one thing which affect demand and all other factors such as income of the consumer, taste, preference, expectation and all other factors will be constant. Only demand is affected by price under law of demand. So assumption of law of demand are that all the determinant of demand other than the Px remain unchanged. Px is here refers to price of commodity X. So basically it means demand for good X is affected by price of good X and all the other factor of demand will be constant. So this was the assumption of law of demand. On this slide, I have given explanation of law of demand. According to law of demand, there is an inverse relationship between price and demand for a commodity. It means if price increase, then demand decrease, and if price decrease, then demand increase. So price and demand are sharing a inverse relationship, or we can say a negative relationship. However, this relation is not proportional, meaning thereby that it is not necessary that when prices falls by one half, demand for good will be double. So proportion can be indifferent, but it is definitely that price is going to affect demand. Law of demand simply indicates the direction of change in demand as a result of change in price. It means law of demand always states that direction of change in demand is a result of changes in prices of that particular good or product. So this law is explained with the help of demand schedule and demand curve. So in next slide, we are going to discuss about demand schedule and demand curve, which are a part of explanation of law of demand. While explaining law of demand, firstly we are going to discuss about demand schedule and demand curve. In economics, a demand schedule is a table that shows the quantity demanded of a good or service at different price levels. It means demand schedule basically shows the relationship between price and quantity demanded of a particular product. And a demand schedule, when it is graphed on a chart, then it is called demand curve. So a demand schedule can be graphed as a continuous demand curve on a chart where x-axis represent quantity and y-axis represent price of a particular commodity. A demand schedule most commonly consists of two columns. It means demand schedule are having two columns. The first column lists a price of a product in ascending or descending order, and then second column lists the quantity of a product desired or demanded at that price. The price of this schedule is based on the market research. And when data in the demand schedule is graphed to create the demand curve, then it supplies a visual demonstration of relationship between price and demand, allowing easy estimation of the demand for a product or service at any point along the curve. So it means demand curve is a visual demonstration of relationship between price and quantity of a particular product. So this is what we call demand schedule and demand curve. Demand schedule can be divided into two categories: individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. Firstly, let's discuss about individual demand schedule. Individual demand schedule refers to a tabular statement showing various quantities of a commodity that a consumer is willing to buy at various levels of price during a given period of time. So basically demand schedule refers to two categories, individual and market. So we are discussing here individual demand schedule. So it refers to a tabular statement. It means we have to draw a table showing various quantity of a commodity, and then in against those quantity we have to write prices for the same. So here, as seen in this schedule, quantity demanded of X increase with decrease in its prices. It means when quantity demanded of a particular product, that is X we have taken here, if increase, then prices decrease. So basically the consumer is willing to buy 1 unit at rupees 5. When price falls to 4, then demand rises to 2 units. A demand schedule states the relationship between two variables, that is price and quantity. That is why we have to draw price and quantity here in table. So it shows that more is demanded at lower prices than at higher prices. It means when prices are low, then consumer buy more quantity. So just as you will be probably buy more DVDs when they are offered at price less than the normal prices. So it means when prices decreases, then quantity demanded for a particular product, as we have taken here product X, then quantity demanded is going to increase. And if prices are going to decrease, then quantity demanded for that particular product X is going to increase. The second type of demand schedule is market demand schedule. Market demand schedule refers to a tabular statement showing various quantities of a commodity that all the consumers are willing to buy at various level of price during a given time period. It is the sum of all individual demand schedule at each and every price. It means market schedule refers to summation of all the individual demand schedule. So here market demand schedule can be expressed as where DM is the market demand and DA plus DB and all other are the individual demand of household A and household B and so on. It means summation of all the individual demand schedule makes market demand schedule. Let us assume that A and B are two consumer or two household for commodity X in the market. So table shows that market demand schedule is obtained by horizontally summing the individual demands. As seen in table, market demand is obtained by adding demand of household A and B at different prices. It means market demand schedule is based on the individual demand schedule, because when we add all the individual demand schedule, then we get market demand schedule. So at rupees 5 per unit, market demand is 3 unit. When price fall to 4, then market demand rise to 5 unit. So market demand schedule shows the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. It means when prices are going to increase, then demand will be decreased, and when prices will be decreased, then demand for that particular product is going to increase. Now let's discuss about demand curve in more detail. The demand curve is a graphic representation of demand schedule. It means basically the visual representation of demand schedule. In the words of Leftwich, the demand curve represents the maximum quantities per unit of time that the consumer will take at various prices. So basically demand curve shows the quantity and price of a particular commodity. According to Lipsey, the curve which shows the relation between the price of a commodity and the amount of commodity that the consumer wishes to purchase is called demand curve. So basically, what is demand curve according to Lipsey? According to him, demand curve shows the relationship between price and quantity of a particular commodity. So like demand schedule, as in demand schedule was divided into two categories, that is individual and market. So demand curve is also divided in two parts because it is based on the demand schedule. So demand curve is divided into two parts. The first one is individual demand curve and then the second one is market demand curve. Now let's discuss about these in more detail. Individual and market demand curve can be understood in more clearer sense with help of this figure. Firstly, individual demand curve shows demand schedule of one consumer and market demand curve shows demand schedule of more than one consumer. So firstly, we can understand this concept with help of this figure. The market demand curve for good X is found by summing together the quantities that both consumer demand at each price. For example, at price of rupees 1, consumer 1 demand 2 unit while consumer 2 demand 1 unit. It means demand for a particular product by different consumer can be different. So the market demand here would be 2 plus 1, that is 3 units of good X. In more general setting where there are more than 2 consumers in the market for the some good, the same principle continues to apply. It means it doesn't matter that how many consumers are available. We have to make a add of all the consumer and then we will be get market demand curve. So the market demand curve would be horizontal summation of all the market participant individual demand curves. So basically, market demand curve can be obtained with help of all the individual demand curves. In our previous slide, we have observed that demand curve slopes downward. Now, we will look at this question that why does demand curve slopes downward? The first reason of downward sloping of demand curve is that law of diminishing marginal utility. Law of diminishing marginal utility refers to the phenomena whereby the marginal utility of any good diminishes as more and more of that good is purchased. It means if we buy a product or good more frequently, then utility for the same will be decreased. So marginal utility is the addition made to total utility by consuming one more unit of commodity. So when we talk about one more unit or one more addition, then we definitely refers to marginal utility. So obviously a consumer will buy additional unit of a commodity only if he has to pay less price for it as compared to the previous unit. So this is the main reason of downward sloping of demand curve. The second reason is income effect. Income effect is the effect that a change in a person's real incomes caused by change in price of a commodity has on the quantity of that commodity. And the third reason is substitution effect. The substitution effect is the effect that a change in relative prices of substitution good has on the quantity demanded. So substitution goods are basically that can be used in place of each other. So this is also the reason of downward sloping of demand curve. The next reason is different uses. Some goods have more than one uses such as milk. So it may be used for drinking or maybe for curd or cheese. At its very high price, an individual consumer may buy milk only for drinking, but the reduced price more milk can be bought for making curd and cheese as well. Thus, the demand for commodities with alternative uses tends to extend consequent upon the fall in their prices. And the next reason of downward sloping of demand curve is size of consumer group. When the price of a commodity falls, then many consumers who are unable to buy that commodity at its various prices come forward to buy it. Consequently, the total number of consumers are or total market demand goes up. For example, when the price of apple is rupees 30 per kg, then a handful of consumers buy it. The demand is limited. As the price comes down to 15 per kg, then many consumers are willing to buy apples at this new favorable prices. So these were the reason of downward sloping of demand curve. Now let's discuss about exception to the law of demand. The first one is article of distinction or Veblen good. So Veblen goods are basically those which are article of distinction or luxury goods like jewelry and original work of art by great artists. So article of distinction according to Veblen command more demand when the prices are high. So it is an exception of law of demand. The next one is ignorance. Many a time consumer out of sheer ignorance or poor judgment consider a commodity to be low quality if its prices is low and high quality if prices are high. So this is the second exception of law of demand. The third one is Giffen goods. Giffen goods, the term is given by Sir Robert Giffen, are those goods which are inferior whose demand fall even when their prices fall. So that the law of demand does not hold good. And the next one is expectation of rise or fall in price in the future. So this is also the main reason of exception of law of demand, that if prices are likely to rise more in the future, then even at that existing higher price, people may demand more unit of the commodity in the present. And the next one is consumer's psychological bias or illusion. When the consumer is wrongly biased against the quality of the commodity with the prices change, then he may contract his demand for the commodity with a fall in price. Sometimes sophisticated consumers do not buy when there is a stock clearance sale at reduced price, thinking that the goods may be of bad quality. The next exception is necessity of life. Those goods which are necessity of life such as wheat, gas, rice, salt, kerosene oil, sugar are not affected by the application of the law. The next exception is commodities with special brand or trademark. If a consumer is in the habit of consuming a commodity having a special brand or trademark, then the consumer will buy the same commodity even if prices are raised. So this is also the main reason of exception of law of demand. Then the next one is war or emergency. So during war or emergency, there is always a fear of shortage of availability of goods. So the consumer try to pile up the stock of goods, howsoever the prices may rise. And the last one is small part of the total expenditure. The commodity on which a small part of the total expenditure is incurred, for example, postcard, salt, etc., the law will not operate because of change in price of such item. So these were the exception to the law of demand. Here I have given you some practice questions which will help you in self-evaluation, that is how much you got from this lecture. The first one is explain law of demand in brief and what are the exception to law of demand. The second question is what do you understand by demand schedule and demand curve? Explain with the help of diagrams, and I hope you will be able to answer these questions. Here is the list of references which I have used in preparation of this video lecture. You can go through these links if you want to go in more detail. Now I would like to wind up the session. Thank you.